Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche now one step closer to being confirmed in the Senate after formally rescinding a controversial $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. The move follows weeks of negotiations with Texas Senator John Cornyn and North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, who were previously trying to block his nomination and demanding to see written proof that the fund would not move forward. Well, they're no longer blocking it. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. clashing with CNN anchor Dana Bash over the COVID pandemic. Watch.
Doctors who are saying you're doing it wrong for being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
and
because again, I really want to move on, but
yeah,
you were saying you were
yes,
I
were
do.
part of the problem.
No, I wasn't part of the problem.
There was absolute press malpractice. You were beating up
My job
people
is also
who were dissenting.
No. Okay. Are you you want to sit here and attack me, or do you want to have conversations about public health? I'm not attacking you.
Wow. That heated debate lasting over 20 minutes with the two arguing over the correct way to deal with a pandemic in the future.
An off-duty state trooper and armed citizen are being praised after firing back during a deadly shooting at an In-N-Out restaurant in Twin Falls, Idaho.
We want to take a moment and commend the actions of the off-duty officer and the citizen in their heroic action to stop this incident. We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties. We can confirm that the suspect, 24-year-old Chad Williams, is deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Authorities identifying the 24-year-old suspect who died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after killing multiple people and injuring several others. The FBI is now assisting with that investigation. I know.
Yo, what up, my people? How do we be during an exciting new week for us? Just locking in. There's a lot going on today, actually. And it is an exciting day. It is our first show of August. Oh my God, August. That means in 3 months, it's going to be the midterm elections. In 3 months, it's the midterm elections. As soon as the midterm elections are over, it's the presidential cycle season. Do you understand? Like, we will go directly into presidential announcements. Monday, August 3rd, 2026, today, Junior. And within minutes, seemingly, we're going to have a presidential election begin. It's going to be wild. Man. So much is happening. Donald Trump, peace in the Middle East. Here we go again. It's Groundhog Day. But we are wanting to, I guess, kick off our end of summer as we sort of round the corner here today on a story that we believe deserves more attention. And that's what this show is for. And so we could scream at each other about New York Times hit piece that was written about us this weekend. We could scream at other creators or podcasters because that seems to be extremely in vogue these days. We could do navel gazing stuff about our feelings. We would rather uplift this audience and uplift the America that we need to stay locked in because the fight against the communists are on our shores. The communists are here. It is a very late hour. The need is dire, and we must rally the troops. And we actually think that that's what we have some pretty remarkable New York Times data that shows that. We were able to shut the mouths of the New York Times this weekend, had them issue a correction based on the strength of this audience. I'm really proud of this, actually. And maybe it's because we want to be uplifting, and that's why we're going to talk about the In-N-Out shooting and how it was stopped by a good guy with a gun. That's going to be our lead of the day. Now, we also have a big conversation about what America will look like as soon as Democrats take control. Again, it's happening in Spain right now. There's a flood of criminal aliens and they are lying to you about what's actually happening there. So we're going to expose those lies today with Eva Vlardingerbroek. Come on. I think I got that name right. She's going to be joining the show. They call her the Athena warrior for native Europeans. And ladies and gentlemen, probably wouldn't have been cast in a Christopher Nolan film, The Odyssey, but that's not my decision. We're happy to cast her on this program straight into wherever you're watching this show today. And a massive announcement when it comes to the show. Klein, get your cheers ready. Get your cheers ready. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Jerry! Jerry is back on the show. Jerry's back in the chat. So chat, go nuts. Go crazy for Jerry. Did you have a little rap horn in there? We can throw a rap horn in. Go insane for Jerry. Jerry's back after a hiatus. He had to do a spiritual retreat into the wild deserts of Nevada. And that is exactly what he did. He went on a sabbatical and he found himself, and it's very exciting. And the memes he's about to bring to the show, it's indescribable what Jerry's about to do. He's refreshed, he's rested, he's tanned, okay, and he's been in one of those Indian huts in the middle of the desert with peyote.
It was just like hustling.
It was very exciting for him. Jerry's back. Where's Jerry's back? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Here we go. Blackout coffee. Maybe we've drank too much of this stuff this morning. Look at that. I'm almost done. I'm down to my last sip in the cup today. Blackout coffee fills our cup. We love Blackout coffee. Keeps us going, the energy to fight the communists. And we fought the communists this past weekend. And we're really proud about that. And we won, and it's really exciting. We'll show you that, actually. I want to show you that. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny in order to get this coffee that's not made by communists, it's made by real Americans, shipped directly to your door. You should sign up for their coffee club, get their 250th anniversary blend, made right here in the United States of America. Use code Benny for 20% off your first order. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Join the coffee club today. All right. Klein, can you just pop my window up real fast here? Thank you. So, enough navel gazing. I hate these articles. People write a hit piece on us every single week. I hate it. I normally never respond. But the New York Times went out with a hit piece on us this weekend that included data that was just fundamentally wrong and broken. And the idea behind their hit piece is that the entire right-wing media ecosystem is collapsing. And I'm, not responsible for anything other than what we're doing here on this channel. And I just want to thank, the only reason we're going to spend any time on this today at all is because we love you, we care about you, and we're going to fight for you and for this audience. You can see here, this is right at the very top, They say our views have slowed to a trickle. Yeah, I called the reporter, and the reporter wrote me asking for comment. I took my kids to New York, ironically, last weekend for a promise that I made to my daughter, Eloise, that I would take her to the plaza when she turned 6. She's had this promise for her whole life. I did it. It's very stressful. Don't plan on going back, okay? But the reporter wrote me right in the middle of that. I didn't get a chance to get back with him. And if I had gotten back with him, I think I would have been able to box their ears a bit and just show them our data because I don't really care. Like, you can go see the data and I'll be happy to show you the data. The only reason I care is that they're trying to turn this into a larger scale narrative on President Trump and to say that President Trump is unpopular and toxic. And so this was the goal of the article. So all of us are all suffering, right? Okay. The premise here is flawed because it says that we're down from 2024. Well, that's insane. That's like saying that soccer is taking a little bit of a dip between World Cups. In this industry, obviously interest is going to peak in these unbelievably historic elections. Trump's getting shot in the head, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the big switch, all this stuff was happening. It was insanity. It was bedlam. Trump's driving a trash truck. Do you remember that? It's like insane. Trump's in a trash vehicle. Joe Biden's calling all of us garbage. Kamala Harris is like having a mental collapse. It's wild. The whole thing is wild. Anyway, so there's like heavy interest every 4 years in the presidential election. That's what we do news. And so there's going to be heavy interest. But what matters to us is that we continue to serve our audience, even when other people who their business is none of my business. They say they track the 12 biggest creators on this chart. You got Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk here, Tucker Carlson. I'm not going to comment on it. I'm not going to comment. I've tried really hard to stay out of the drama. Okay. I don't think it's good for the movement. This is not me. This isn't about. And the only reason we're even talking about it is because I'm so proud of what we've built here together. So obviously when Trump got inaugurated, which is right here, interest is going to be very high. And as the administration, so the World Cup happens, Trump gets inaugurated, there's the World Cup final, okay? A lot of interest, and then interest in soccer is going to wane, okay? And that's just natural, and that's fine. So what's the mean? What's the baseline here? And this is what I find, just beautiful about this audience. Look at this. At a time when it's been really tough, where you're 18, 20 months in to an administration, there's a lot of atrophy, there's a lot of lack of interest, there's maybe some things that people disagree with. I certainly disagree with things. The administration, obviously, we've had our own frustrations. This is real life. What we love is that this shows that we are connecting still with the MAGA base. We are still connecting with America first. We are locked in to serve you in this movement. It's not a perfect movement, but it's all we have to save this country. And we'll be Spain if we let it slip for one election cycle. And so while it might feel good to be a doomer or to get my little rage clicks or hate clicks or whatever, bad for the country. It's bad for the future of my children. I won't do it, right? It's also immoral as far as I'm concerned. It's disloyal as far as I'm concerned. And so we were just very proud, honestly, of what the New York Times published. Now, I called them and I sent them all of our data. And I said, yeah, things ebb and flow. And it's a news show. So there's a cycle, right? There's the Super Bowl. There's the World Cup. Things move in a cycle. You know this. But we're actually doing, doing better. I shared my data on X this weekend about this audience and saying that actually we're like up on the year. YouTube tells us we might be doing more views than we did last year. Like utterly blowing away your premise that like Donald Trump's toxic and you shouldn't talk about Trump and you shouldn't support the administration. Don't support the administration. No. They went after my X and my YouTube because we're actually like astronomically up on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to Carly Bonet. It's awesome. Ashley Ladice. Some amazing team members who have been helping us in those spaces. And to our X team, who's crushing it right now. And this is it. Does this show a catastrophic drop-off? This is obviously when they murdered Charlie, right? This is when Charlie was murdered. Right here. And so obviously, there's cycles of interest and peaks of huge world-changing news events. Again, it's all navel gazing. But the intention of this article is to say that Donald Trump is toxic. Nobody should ever support Donald Trump again. Everybody who supported Donald Trump has collapsed. That's not true. Fundamentally not true. Now, what about these other creators? Because the article goes on to talk about a bunch of other people. Bongino, Tucker, Megyn, Candace, I don't know, Tim Pool, Mark Levin, Nick Fuentes. Let me make this very clear. And I just want to say it I'll say it very slowly. It's none of my business. My business is my business. We're running our operation and making our own decisions for the betterment of the MAGA movement, the strength of the America First movement, to protect the future of my children. That's my motivation. My motivation is not pissing contests with other podcasters. They can make their own choices, and they do. It has nothing to do with me. They're adults. They can also suffer the consequences or reap the benefits of those choices. I'm not going to get involved. I know all of these people, and I wish them well. Okay? I wish them well. And there's no Schadenfreude here, Okay? I certainly will never be cheering for anyone's demise or destruction. It's a tough industry. The final thing I'll say on this, and I'm sorry that I've jumped all over this, but I think it's very important. Final thing I'll say on this is that we have an obligation, if you have an audience, which is a privilege. Having an audience is a privilege. You have an obligation to remember who brought you the dance. And it's not about me. And it's not about my petty grievances with anybody else or my boutique issues, right? Every single day, I'm grateful to be able to do this. I am grateful to you. I thank you for showing up for us. We will show up for you. We will not betray you. We will not be disloyal. We will not be we will not be cheap or not thought out in our opinions. We will fight hard. And we will always view this as a privilege to do this show and to build these channels. We might let you down at times. They're not perfect, that's for sure. But we will endeavor to always be honest and open and transparent and to fight for what we're all doing here, which is to save America. And be honest about what the purpose and mission of what we are building is, and never stray from that mission. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Times reporter, after a phone call from me on Friday night, laying this all out, did correct the article and did mention, actually, Benny's audience and the what we're building here has done just fine, right? And is going strong. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, we only have one person to thank: our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and you. That's it. It's the providence of God. We get to do this every day. We're grateful and we're thankful for you. And so we're going to keep showing up and keep fighting like twice as hard. Anyway, that's it. There's my rant over. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of saving America, let's go ahead and look over here. Zoom over with me to Idaho, and in and out in Idaho, where a gunman, ALX, can you get me the AI version of this, please? The AI enhanced version of this. I'm going to show you what real America looks like. What are we fighting for? Grab me that as fast as you can. I want to put it up because, these guys don't, not every superhero wears a cape. Sometimes they wear a pair of jorts and a cowboy hat and are walking in silence with a suppressor and a 9mm. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Jordan Salinas. Let me explain what happened here in Idaho at an In-N-Out. It was a Saturday afternoon at this In-N-Out when a libtard who was on an AR platform, I assume it's an AR-15, I haven't gotten a really close look at the gun, started to blast people that were waiting for their burgers at In-N-Out. You ever been in In-N-Out? Very popular spot. On a Saturday afternoon in Great Falls, Idaho, In-N-Out would be wildly popular place to bring your family. And indeed, there were tons of families there. Little children eating after a shopping trip, because this is surrounding a giant shopping mall. And this man was going car to car, door to door. You can see all of the stores. Look at all these stores. Twin Falls, Idaho. Stores, restaurants, family, kids. This is a spot that has thousands and thousands of mothers, children, elderly people. It is a soft target, is what you'd call it. And a committed libtard Redditor with an AR platform could have slaughtered hundreds. I deign to say he could have slaughtered thousands. The truth is that there were absolutely thousands of people that would just be sitting prone in stores or in their vehicles. in this location. What happened next is as American as apple pie. A man pulled his firearm out. I don't know exactly what he's shooting here, but it has a hell of a suppressor on it. And I believe it's a 9mm. He's shoots the would-be mass murderer, and 3 individuals were murdered. Okay, so I believe that technically would be classified as a mass murderer, but it could have been 300. It could have been 30. It could have been 300. It could have been more than that, depending on how committed and how sophisticated the shooter was. And instead, this man, his name's Jordan Salinas, took matters into his own hand, walked directly into the line of fire, and took out the threat right here. By the way, this handgun versus an AR platform, it's not even a fair fight. And obviously better than a knife. But, the instinct here for many would be just run away. Let the law enforcement take care of it. Well, guess what? Law enforcement's always going to be 5, 10, 20 minutes away. Who knows? Even if they were 30 seconds away, how many more people or children could you kill inside of a packed burger place for 30 seconds? In-N-Out lost an employee. There's an employee that was killed. That was an In-N-Out employee. And so we want to simply do a massive shout out to this hero right here, Jordan Salinas. He's also a patriot now. The world has found, the internet has found Jordan. Here's what he looks like. Got his pooch right there. Here's Jordan straight up training on this weapons platform, presumably, on this firearm in the desert, saying, train like your life depends on it because God forbid one day it might. Stay free and stay safe and stay frosty, says Jordan. This is the man. Look at this. Here he is. Dude, Idaho or America, wrong place to do this. The amazing part about our country, here's Jordan saying, celebrating 250th founding fathers intended, exercising my inalienable rights right now for a regulated militia being necessary for a free state. Thank God that there are dudes like this all over the country. Are you a dude like this? Are you a woman that's packing? Are you somebody that's prepared to stand up when there's evil? Because there's evil absolutely everywhere. Are you one of those people? Look at this libtard walking around with his AR-15, going car to car. He shot up a Tesla. 2 of the individuals that were killed inside of this Tesla. They were just sitting there. I assume that this is based on left-wing seething hatred of Elon Musk. This man is a hero, and we need to train more civilians to do this. He deserves to be famous, and we're going to do our best to try and make him famous. Here's Jordan Salinas. He took out the gunman, practicing right here in order to save lives. What an absolute operator. Patriot of the day. And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. Look at this. Here's more footage from his Facebook, I believe. The shooter, ID'd as 24-year-old Chad Williams, instead of his face, here's 1 minute of hero Jordan Salinas training for this exact moment that saved countless lives. What a great country. Such a great country because these guys, thank God, are on every single block. On every single block. On your block, there's probably 10 of them. Where do you live? I live in Florida. Let me tell you what. It's illegal in Florida to walk around without your firearm. They'll give you a ticket. Just kidding. But it does feel like that, though. Open carry in the state. This is such a great country because we do have the capacity to fight evil, the obligation, in fact, to be ready to protect the innocent. And I don't care how many gun laws you make, there are going to be criminals that will grab a butcher knife, as they do all across Europe, that will take a car and turn it into a deadly weapon. Doesn't matter what you do with the guns. But since guns exist for bad people, and they exist everywhere for bad people, we must have guns to be trained on for good people. So Jordan Salinas, ALX, apparently he has spoken out. Let's go ahead and see. Okay. Twin Falls, Idaho shooting hero Jordan Salinas is speaking out now. The entire nation is praising him. The man is a hero. Please invite him to the White House. Please know that I've seen your messages and that they mean more to me than I can put to words. In the coming days, I'll share more of the complete account of what happens, to the best of my recollection, when I am able. For now, my heart remains with the victims, their families, and everybody affected by yesterday's tragedy. Thank you for continuing them in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you for all the incredible support that you've shown to me and my family. Beautiful. Just an uplifting story, and we need more of that. Just an uplifting story about, like, wait a second, what is it exactly? What is it exactly we're fighting for? We're fighting to ensure that we don't become Spain. Spain is collapsing right now because they made a choice, and all of Europe has made a choice, and it's breaking up the EU right now. I can't believe this is actually happening. Live footage from Spain right now, really incredible. I don't know how they got these shots. Must have been using a GoPro, I think, maybe a drone. But yeah, got it. It's World War Z. But what's happening is that they're lying to you, and the Spanish leadership is saying that in Ceuta, Spain, which is a small territorial enclave, the tip of Gibraltar here, Ceuta, one of the trappings of a colonial Spain, right? Spain was sending ships all around the world in conquest, highly technologically and economically and militarily advanced compared to the Middle East or Africa that were in the Stone Age. Spain was conquering the world. We have Spain to thank for Christianity in the Western Hemisphere. And now Spain is being overrun. This is the proud nation that, of course, beat back the Moors, that were able to actually repel Islam at the cost of hundreds of thousands of Christian Spaniards. They were able to repel Islam from the shores of Europe 1,000 years ago. And Islam went and retreated back to the Middle East and Africa. But now Islam is visited upon Spain once again. And in Ceuta, they're lying to you. The images out of Ceuta this morning are atrocious. So the criminal alien invaders, all Muslim military-age men, continue to flow into Ceuta. The Spanish government is saying that they're all gone. That's not true. That we've deported 50,000 of them. That's not true. And now it's leading to the potential collapse of the European Union. What's going on here? So Europe races to contain the Ceuta migrant crisis as tens of thousands cross into Spain from Morocco. So there's something in Europe called the Schengen Agreement. I believe I'm saying that correctly. The Schengen Agreement effectively says that European Union will function like America. There's not a border control or passport check when I go from Florida to Georgia. We see this as a contiguous people and culture, and that there are controls at the borders, but not internally. And so I can travel to all 50 states and drive around and not have to worry about my passport, right? And that's the same thing in Europe. And in Europe, all of these nations, the vast majority of EU nations, have signed on to this agreement where they allow free travel with border checks abolished here, right? And so this allows you to engage in commerce and so on inside of a high trust, European, homogenous, relatively homogenous and secure society. Well, now all the European leaders are saying, oh, we need to disband that because one nation has decided to have unlimited open borders and criminal migration, and then to also give citizenship to 500,000 North Africans What do you think that's going to do? Create an incentive structure for this invasion. Now other European leaders are saying, no, it's time to get out of this agreement. We can't have Spain poisoning the entire continent for us. And that is precisely what they're doing. This is wild. Emmanuel Macron says that he is deploying the military to the border with Spain. So as you can see here, the border here in this peninsula is with Spain. Pretty famous border there. France and Spain. It is the only country that borders Spain in the north. And Emmanuel Macron says that I am going to be deploying an enormous amount of military forces. 4 units of mobile forces, aircraft, drones have been deployed to the border with Spain. We're going to protect our border and we're going to militarize our border with Spain for the first time in like 100 years. Okay. So this obviously leads to a much larger question, which is, what is Europe? If Europe, so you can see here in Ceuta, here's the demographic data in Ceuta, there's 80,000 people that live in Ceuta. There's a mix of male and females, kind of down the middle. But suddenly, overnight, there's 60,000 Muslim young men that come in. What do you think that does to the life of females in Ceuta? If you more than double the population and they're all men, and suddenly you are now 20% of the population. What do you think it does to this balance when they're all young military age men? When you have the age demographic balance, that's relatively healthy. Or here, when you look at the demographic balance and their vast majority are from Spain, 93% are from Spain. A small sliver of them are from Africa, but it is a Spanish enclave, of course. So they're of European descent and have European traditions, a sense of cleanliness, decency, and culture that is, of course, richly European. And in enclaves like this, actually more European than even Europe. Because, of course, if you're living in a place like this, you are in what is effectively a you are in a colony, right? You are outnumbered. So it's even more important to have strong traditional background. You can see here images from Ceuta. This is happening all around Europe. What happens when the demographics of Europe are no longer European? Well, is that even Europe anymore? No. That's just a colony of North Africa. So it is this demographic collapse, replacement, nightmare that we're excited to speak with our guest today about. She is a founder of the Save Europe Act. She is somebody who has been fighting this fight long before it was popular, long before the red, searing, flashing warning signs of the Muslim invasion of Europe were blinking for all to see, when it was slightly more under the surface, or at the very least, it was protected by the media a little bit more. And so we are excited to welcome to the show for the first time, Eva Vardingerbroek. I'm pretty sure that I got that right. Let's go ahead and check and welcome Eva to the show live. Eva, welcome to the program. It's an honor to have you.
Hi, Benny. It's great to be on. Thank you. You got the last name right. You did it really well. I know.
Did I really?
Okay.
Did I say Shenzhen correctly, or is that I'm doing that wrong?
So it's the Schengen Agreement, but
Schengen,
you were almost there. Yeah.
Okay, Schengen Agreement. I don't know. I don't know why it sounds so Chinese to me, but like, what the hell do I know? I'm an American. This is all I care about. All I care about is my culture and preserving my culture, which I view as uniquely Western and of European origin, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. And there's 2% of America is Muslim. And I checked this morning. And I was like, wow, that's like, there's like a new march in Dallas or Dearborn every single day where Muslim enclaves take over the entire city, right? And you can't move. And that's what 2%, that's like with 2% and zero assimilation. In many European countries, it's 10%, 15%, or 20%. And so my question for you, I think, like on the offset, is can Europe be saved, and what must be done?
Well, yes, Europe can be saved, but we need radically different policies to the ones that we've had for the past 30 years or so, maybe even longer. I mean, with the Save Europe Act, that's exactly what we're trying to achieve. We want a full and total halt to non-Western immigration. That's like the first thing that needs to happen. The border needs to be closed, need to be secured. And we need to say no to immigration, both legal and illegal, by the way, because our demographic change is just really blowing out of the waters here. And if we want to really save Europe, we're going to need more than just closing the borders. We're also going to need an active reversal of the damage that's been done. And the only way that we can do that is through remigration. So those are, I would say, the two pillars really of what we're trying to achieve with the Save Europe Act. We're trying to build a grassroots movement to push our political establishment in that direction and to really take action. Because you were saying, look at the difference that it already made to America, having only 2, 3, 4% of your population be Muslim immigrants. Well, we are now nearing a reality where Europeans, native Europeans, are going to become a minority in their own homelands. And we're not talking in 200 years from now. We're talking 20 years from now. So we really need to take action now. And I think that everyone who's traveled to Europe in the past 10 years has seen with their own eyes, what has become of it. I mean, Europe has become a totally different place, really unrecognizable in many ways. Yeah. And for us, this is our homeland, right? We don't have another home. So it's an existential threat that we are facing. And the whole world now has seen it really graphically with those images coming out of Spain, coming out of Ceuta this weekend. But I mean, this is something that has been going on for a lot longer. Maybe people just haven't been so aware, or we haven't had images that were so graphic and so violent in nature, let's say. But these types of numbers of having thousands and thousands of young military-aged men come into our borders in a totally uncontrolled manner, that's nothing new. That's what we're trying to fight here.
What do you think? What is happening in Ceuta? Why is this happening? It is an obvious military invasion. It's obviously biological warfare.
Yes.
This is a Muslim replacement population that shouts Allahu Akbar as they storm the border, and they view it as a religious conquest of a very Catholic population. Mm-hmm. And then their actions, once inside of Ceuta, they are violent. They have committed robberies, I believe murder, but at the very least, many stabbings and lootings. And so they are here this is a military conquest. Am I wrong?
Well, it's absolutely an orchestrated invasion. I say orchestrated in the sense that there are multiple parties involved. Obviously, there were real reports coming out of Morocco that they pushed for this. They used a legal loophole where they swam officially to the coast of Ceuta, which would grant them the legal status of a refugee. So that, that was one of the things that they knew. And so they abused our system on purpose. But that's, of course, the other part of this is that our system is flawed, and flawed is even way too nice of a way to describe our system. We don't have a border in Europe. Okay. It's not being protected. And Sanchez, you mentioned it yourself earlier, he is legalizing hundreds of thousands. Actually, the real numbers will probably end up in the millions of illegal immigrants who came to Spain in the past decades. So, our own establishment is doing this to Europeans. They are betraying us. They are the ones, the real traitors here in this story, not necessarily the people coming even. I mean, they really aren't coming. And that's really important, I think, also to understand in this debate or in this event. They're not trying to reconquer a piece of land that they regard theirs. That's not what this is about. This debate shouldn't be dragged into the debate about colonialism. It's not that the Moroccans are saying, we want Ceuta for us. These young men are coming to Ceuta with the aim of going to the European mainland and then claiming our social welfare, replacing our people, and taking over control in our countries. That's the real aim. It's replacement migration in Europe itself. And Ceuta is the gateway.
Why is it morally justified for us to spend an obscene amount of money as the West, to try and protect some indigenous tribe in, the rainforest that's found, right? Or North Sentinel Island, right? It's illegal to go contact this uncontacted tribe that lives there.
Mm-hmm.
And they spend a lot of money, making sure that people don't do that. A lot of money preserving other cultures, if you can call them that, but no time and no interest in protecting European culture.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it seems like the goal is the eradication of European culture and Western civilization as quickly as possible. Why is it not understood that white people of European heritage are less than 10% of the global population?
Mm-hmm.
So by every conceivable measure, we're the minorities, actually. Like it's not like we frame it from our own countries. It's like, say they're an oppressed minority. No, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like people in Africa or in the Middle East or in Asia, like that's the vast majority of people on Earth.
Yeah.
Right? But there's like this massive disconnect there. Maybe you could expound
you're
on this.
Absolutely right. Like every single ethnocultural group in the history of the world is allowed to want to protect their ethnocultural continuity. Like nobody would be upset if you say Africa belongs to the Africans or Asia belongs to the Asians. But when we as Europeans say, hey, Europe belongs to the Europeans, Europe is not just a social construct, it's real. Europe is a continent with all these sovereign distinct identities, these distinct peoples that have a shared civilization, but are sovereign. That's what Europe is. And that's beautiful. That's rare. That's worth protecting. And we've created what I would argue the greatest civilization on earth. They say you can't do that. That's racist. And that's what we're trying to fight here, because that's obviously false. It's false. It's not at all bad. It is actually morally, I would say, just to want the land of your ancestors to remain that of your children. And it won't be with the policies that are going on right now. And where this mind virus comes from, it's being taught in our universities. It's the same thing in America, of course. It is I think also an evil twisting of history where they abuse what happened in the Second World War and say that is the basis for the idea that all white people are evil, or that we have some sort of collective guilt that we need to make up for, and that nationalism is bad and it leads only to war, etc. And they use, I think, people's fear of being excluded or really targeted also by the establishment, because that is what happens in Europe when you speak out about this. You run the risk of being persecuted. Like you run the risk of being thrown in jail for what you say if you oppose immigration. It wouldn't be the first time. It has happened many times. I know many activists in Europe right now who are under investigation or either on trial. I myself have been banned from going to the United Kingdom. I have been targeted with my mercenary spyware on my phone. All of these things are very real and happen. And the establishment uses that to crack down on something that is totally natural and good, and that is wanting to protect what is yours and pass it on. And so we said, we need to do something. I was sitting feeling rather hopeless, to be honest with you, a couple of months ago, thinking, wow, the numbers are not in our favor. Politics is moving way too slow. People are still afraid. What can we really do? I have a platform, and I heard you say earlier, having a platform is a privilege. I absolutely agree with that. And so I thought to myself, I can't just be making videos and talking about all the evil things that I see unfolding and the way that my civilization, my home, is being destroyed, and speak out in anger and sadness when we hear about another white European boy or girl that was killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant. I need to do something more concrete. And so I called Martin Zellner, who's, I would say, like a godfather really of remigration. If there's anyone in Europe who's been unfairly targeted by the media and by the establishment, it is him. But he's a great guy, super motivated. And I said to him, we need to do something. Why don't we start a European Citizens Initiative? And so we are now trying to use the tools of the establishment of the European Union against them, and to unite patriots all around Europe behind this idea of wanting to close the borders for non-Western immigration and to start remigration. We're trying to force the European Commission to take a stance on that. And of course, they're doing everything in their power to shut us down. They've already rejected the registration of our act, but we're not going to give up. We're in this because we know that this is an existential fight and it has to be fought now or it will be too late.
Maybe this is a good time to just pop up the website right now, the SaveEuropeAct.com. You can go there. If you are an American, you can support them. If you're a European, you can sign. You have 700,000 and non-Europeans.
For any American who agrees with our views and who agrees that Europe is a civilization worth saving, you can sign up at this part because this is our pre-campaign. Maybe I should have clarified that. This is our pre-campaign for the launch of a European Citizens Initiative, which is an official tool of the European Commission, where if we get 1 million signatures, the European Commission has to welcome us in their institution and listen to our proposal. Wouldn't that be good? If I can sit in front of Ursula von der Leyen and say, it's done now. You're going to close those borders and you're going to send them back. That's what we want. So, but for now, any American who supports our cause, we would love for you to sign.
You can see here they're at 700,000 nearly signatures, and so they're well on their way. Please make sure that you are signing as well. And
you're on the website too, Benny. Thank you for that. You were one of our first honorary endorsers. So I think if you scroll down a bit, your face is on there, and we're really grateful for that.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Good. Well, obviously, I don't understand. I mean, I guess my next question is why? Why do this? Why do this to your culture? I mean, do they just hate white people? Do they hate Christians? I believe it has something more to do than just melanin in the skin. I think it's more that they hate Christianity and the institutions and virtues of Christianity that hold into account a higher God than the government. Yeah. And so this is a way to reduce that, but it's going to backfire because you're bringing in people that don't assimilate, that are going to create their own governments and their own laws and their own courts. And we can see that they're already doing that, obviously. But if anything, is it a punishment, Eva? What is it?
It's a punishment of people who don't deserve punishment, with the goal for those people in power to remain in power. And of course, then, if you see yourself as God, which I think that many of these unelected bureaucrats in Brussels do, they certainly behave like it. They haven't even been directly elected by the European people, but they behave like kings and queens. They decide for us what is right. They absolutely, in a diabolical way, also invert our values. They deny Christianity as the foundation of European culture. That's what the European Union did in their founding documents. They speak about European values always separate from Christianity, as if they don't have anything to do with each other, yet they are the very foundation of our civilization. So that's the type of person those are the people that we are dealing with. They indeed want to destroy everything that stands in their way of power, be it national identities, be it cultures, be it borders, be it God. That's what these people do.
Was there not and I try and follow this as closely as I can, was there not a relatively large victory for remigration inside of Brussels recently?
Yes, so the European Parliament is moving in the right direction. They actually recently adopted a directive on return hubs. So they are now slowly but surely moving in the direction where illegal immigration is going to be made a bit more difficult, but it's not nearly enough yet. We need something much more radical, because obviously time is not on our side with this. We are really running out of the years. This is something that once we become minorities in our own homelands, also things like democracy will not function the way that we were used to, as you could say, because democracy numbers game. And if you import a new voter base, which is obviously also one of the reasons why I think our establishment is pushing for replacement migration, well, then none of that really functions anymore. But, the thing is, I think that the real change is going to come from the people. And that's what we're trying to do with this Safe Europe Act, is create and build a grassroots movement. And it's working. I mean, we started 2 months ago. We have now almost 700,000 signatures, as you said. But more importantly, we have really an army of volunteers and activists who've already gotten active on the ground for the Safe Europe Act. We were in 4 different countries protesting, signing people up for the act. Our activists were in Ceuta, like really protecting the border themselves. You know, we are doing what our establishment is unwilling to do, and that's protect our people. And I feel great hope from that. I'm really, really grateful for the people who've helped us, who are helping us, and also to God for this momentum, because it's clear that people want change, and I think we're going to deliver it for them by the grace of God.
I'm not particularly smart on this issue or any other, but I can follow the patterns, and there is a demographic death spiral that happens when the native populations of a place stop reproducing. And this is something that egalitarian and well-developed societies have found all throughout the histories of the world. You can see it in ancient Greece or ancient Rome. The people just stopped having babies, and that the politicians always panic and say, well, who's going to mine the coal? You know, who's going to carry the water? Who's going to clean whatever, right? Who's going to pick the fruit in the Nancy Pelosi terms? And they freak out and do the easy thing, which is bring in as many foreigners who are from the third world or underdeveloped places in order to try and supplement the population, instead of doing the hard thing, which is to incentivize family creation.
Yes.
From the native population who, again, if you go back to ancient Rome or ancient Greece, you can find these trends, and you can find these trends really very, very much like laid out and cataloged. And you can see that this was a huge problem. And so how is it, or why doesn't our leadership class realize that it's actual, like, the problem is you? Because I know why they're bringing it. Like, some of it's like they're all evil and they want us all to die. Some of it is like we want the GDP numbers to stay up, right? And so we need a bunch of new people, and our people aren't making new people. So let's bring in a bunch of people that breed, like rabbits, and then we'll say that we have population growth instead of stagnation or decline, right? Because economy's in decline, nobody's going to invest in that, and so on. Sorry for the long question, but I think it gets to a point which is, how do we incentivize our political leaders? Because Europe's seeing a massive population decline. It's not great. Europe's not at replacement numbers. America's just barely at replacement numbers. I think we're at like 2.1, but Europe's not. And so your leaders are panicking. And like, how do you incentivize native populations in these kind of advanced cultures to have more children? How do we push our political leaders to realize you're the problem, right, when it comes to this kind of stuff? And you need to incentivize more families.
I'm actually really glad that you brought this up, because it is one of the fallacies that still very much is being pushed and also lives in the minds of Europeans, because we've been told, indeed, if we do not bring in immigrants, then our civilization will die because we're not making children. The welfare state will come to die because, obviously you need workers, and there are a lot of jobs that, let's say, native population Europeans don't want to do, like the bad jobs, right? The picking the fruit, as you said. So they
Nancy Pelosi said it, but yeah, sure.
Exactly. Well, I mean, obviously this, but they're saying this. But the problem is that it is a total fallacy. They are bringing in immigrants who do not work, but come here to make use and claim our welfare options. So, here in the Netherlands, it has become, for example, totally impossible for people of my generation to buy a house because the housing prices are just through the roof. Why? Well, obviously, our economy is another story, but mass immigration leads to less options for the native populations. There are less social benefits for the native people because the immigrants, they get everything with priority. So if you come in here from whichever country they claim they come from, because oftentimes they lie, they throw their passports away, they abuse our system, then they will get priority housing and not someone who's been waiting here for years. That person is going to end up living with their mom and dad till they're 30. That's not a great circumstance or not a great situation in which you can start a family, is it now? And, combine that with moral and cultural decay, which also, again, follows from mass immigration and, of course, the loss of God, which is something that they very much propagate. It is the most poisonous cocktail that you can think of, and it actually causes people to have less children. Throw a bit of, oh, you know what, having kids is bad for the climate in there, and it's complete, right? And so that is exactly what we see here. So the idea that you can solve that with mass immigration is ridiculous. You just add insult to injury. It only becomes worse. And so we really need to challenge that fallacy and that lie and say, no, also the wages are not going to get any better if we keep on importing really cheap labor and have people who come here illegally and have no papers and are willing to do those jobs. It's not going to get better in any way, shape, or form. I cannot mention or think of one single aspect that has been beneficial from the mass immigration from the third world that we have seen to Europe these past 2-3 decades. Not one. Zero.
Have you ever been to the third world? I mean, we use this as the 51st state fallacy, right? So America famously has 50 states. Europe has how many countries in Europe? I don't actually know. How many countries?
27 member states in the EU.
Okay.
So
27 EU member states. So, what we use all the time on this program is, would you take the actual nation that the people are coming from, the nation they built, Haiti, Somalia, Chad, right, Djibouti, would you take that nation, if that was the 51st state and you could travel to it, would you want to? Like, would you want that attached to the end of Florida, right? Or like South Carolina? Like, would you want that? Would you want Somalia taken as a landmass and a cultural mass and put into, would people travel there? Would they like it? Of course not. Like, of course not. You can go look at all of the statistics in Somalia, but number one for gang rapes, number one for cousin marriages, number one for child brides, number one for sectarian violence. That would be the state. It would be the least popular state in the country. We would fight maybe another civil war to kick it out, right?
Yeah, and that's what we're becoming now. That's what we're becoming. We are seeing those exact same things happening on our streets.
Why do you take the people from these places? Why do you separate it's not magic rocks, it's the people, right? The people create the nations. So when you bring the people here, you bring those problems into your countries, right?
Yes. And I refuse to think that our establishment didn't see that coming. Also, this has been happening for too long. The effects have been too visible and have been too detrimental for them to say, oh, we didn't know, or we didn't have the intent. At a certain point, you forsake that, right? You forsake the claim that you were not aware, that you were just trying to do the right thing. This is not the right thing. Us becoming a minority in our own homelands with all of the explosive violence, with the loss of our civilization, with the loss of our culture is not a good thing. It's a terrible thing. It needs to be reversed. And we need to do it now. We need to get active very, very, very fast. And I'm so glad, once again, I really feel renewed hope and fighting spirit with this platform that we've created with the Save Europe Act, because we didn't have any of it. The beauty of Europe, in that sense of having all these different countries with all these different peoples, different languages, it's our strength, but it's also our weakness when it comes to political mobilization. Because all these conservatives, all these nationalists, all these patriots, they keep to themselves. They think about rightly their own country first. But we as Europeans are facing the same existential threat, literally also because of things like the Schengen policy that you mentioned. Because if the migrants come into Spain or Italy or Greece, they can travel freely without any border control, without any checks, right to the country where they can claim the best social benefits. And that's what they do. That's what they do.
So, okay, let's end on a positive note. Okay, so we've covered the bad.
Yeah.
How about the good? No. I mean, listen, it's the future of. I think about my own children. I have 4 little babies, and I think about that, and it's actually kind of wonderful. I know that there's incredible statistics on this. Actually, maybe it's the Charlie Kirk like maybe it's Charlie's like lasting legacy, but everybody I know that's my age has 4 kids or 5. It's like a lot, like there's a lot of that going on. And it's solely of the right. The left in our country is a suicide cult. They are not, they're having 0 children. Yeah. The number to the left is like something like 0.07, child per couple, right? On the left, and on the right, it's above replacement population. So I feel like the cultural, like we're doing good work culturally. I want to put rocket fuel on it, right? I want to make this supercharged. It's such a win-win. It's a win-win for us culturally. It's like a perfect gift to the things that like our side does, which is to start families, love God, make babies, right? And so I wonder what your thoughts are on this. I'm no policy writer, but I'm like, why not make your first home tax-free, for a young couple under like the age of, 30, right? 100%. You're young, you're married. Why not do that? Like, so you can get it
under Orban.
Why do we have to pay, why not incentivize even more like the creation of children, like American children? Like you have to be an American citizen, but then you pay no taxes after like the 3rd child, right? So now you're above replacement population. Kids are expensive. They take all your time, and so like, why not incentivize and say thank you to the people doing that instead of people just being like consumer parasites, right?
I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with it. We also incorporated that into the Safe Europe Act, actually. It is so important that you remove the pull factors from European social welfare systems for immigrants, and that you instead incentivize, the native population of Europe, the people whose ancestors have built this continent, who always had their home here, that they feel that they can start families without having the crushing weight of the government and the unsafety of their streets on their shoulders, because that's real. And Hungary did it. Hungary had those policies. You can do that. You can say, okay, if a woman has more than 2 children or 3 children, tax-free for the rest of her life. You can do that. It's all a question of political decision-making and willpower. And our political establishment doesn't have it. It doesn't have it. So I totally agree with you. I mean, in Europe, of course, our right wing also has higher birth rates than our left wing does. It's natural. It's because of what we believe in. But it's not as high as in America. I think that's once again can also be led back to the fact that we lack that civil society structure so much here. We have to rely on political parties. There is less sense of community. And exactly that is what we are trying to build with this Safe Europe Act, and say, no, it's not bad to want to remain a majority in your own homeland. It's great that you want to defend this Christian country of yours, this Christian continent, your heritage, and that you want to be outspoken about your love for it. That's the way that we started the preamble of this act that we proposed. It is motivated by our deep sense of love and responsibility for our heritage. It's the first sentence. That's why we do this. It's not hatred of others, as they always try to claim it is. No, it is love for what our ancestors created, for what God has granted us, and we want to treat it well and protect it and pass it on.
It's so beautiful. It rings so true. And of course, then when it rings true, you don't have to lie to tell everyone about it. Maybe they've done it in Europe. I'm not sure. I don't speak most of the languages. But nobody in our country, of course, has had problems with open borders and third world migration, which is, just insane. Like, I think something like 70% of Mexicans live in America. It's insane. It's obscene. Americans, whenever getting a chance to vote, we vote that down. Even in California, Ava, they said, no, we don't want to give illegals health care. Like, judges have to step in and then get rid of the will of the voters. In California, they say we want to close the borders. It's not popular. Nobody's ever voted for it. No politicians have ever explained to us. No politician's ever gone out and explained to us why we would have an open door for Somalis in this country. Like, nobody's ever made that case. Nobody's ever tried, because they know it's indefensible, I think. Mm-hmm. I'm picking on Somalis, but the entire third world, nobody's made that case. And eventually those lies, the truth comes due. And we see this, of course, in the election of Donald Trump. We see this in the total rejection of the open borders policies. It's become so toxic. I'm not sure Democrats. I'm not sure how much they're going to want to test it or try it again. But you're seeing that also in Europe, and I think that's again. I want to just end here on a final question, but an uplifting note that you are seeing populist and nationalist movements skyrocketing in popularity in a lot of European countries, and perhaps the future of Europe looks a little brighter than maybe some of the headlines might.
Well, I'm always hopeful. You have to be, right? I mean, there's too much good in this world. There are too many people that have fighting spirit left in their soul to despair. And despair is not going to lead us anywhere good anyway. That's what we keep on saying. Even if it looks bleak, even if you feel that what you do doesn't make a difference, it does. It does. Speaking out in your friend circle, to your families. With the Save Europe Act, we've structured it in such a way that it doesn't matter what your position in society is. Doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter. You can choose your level of involvement tailored to what you are willing and what you can do. It can be as little but as impactful as just signing it. You can sign up as a volunteer. You can download our stickers and posters. You just slap a sticker with "Send them back. Remigration saves Europe" onto, I don't know, a sign in your city. Those are little things of civil disobedience and of love for your own country, your own identity, your own people that you can do on a daily basis. And that's what we need. We shouldn't sit back and hope and wait for politicians to save our lives. I mean, most of them have created this mess, to be honest with you. So it's now, it's not the mess that we made, but it's ours to solve, because we have to do it indeed for our children. I do this because I want my son to grow up in his own countries. He's Italian and Dutch, so he's two. He has both, I would say, both the best countries of Europe in one. And I want him to feel safe and happy and at home in both. And that's why we fight. It's for them. Because for them, it's going to get, if we think we have it bad now, if we think that our situation is dire, or that we are unsafe in our own streets, which we really are, then think about how it's going to be for them. I get shivers thinking about that. I get emotional thinking about that, because it worries me so much, but it also motivates me to do what we are doing right now.
Yes.
More than anything else.
That's exactly right. Islam means submission. It means conquest. They've wanted to conquer Europe. They've tried to conquer Europe multiple times over the last couple thousand centuries. And now we've just suddenly allowed them to do it. And not, it's only been 20 years that this has been going on.
Look, it's not going to be easy, but it wasn't easy for the Spanish to drive out the Moors either, and they did it anyway. So I think we can do it too.
Yeah, yes, bravo and cheers and wonderful, and yes, it. Could you imagine? I mean, yeah. There's a verse in Proverbs that says a blessed generation leaves an inheritance for their children's children. And so when you are making policies today, when you're thinking about what the fight is today, think about your grandchildren. And what kind of country do you want your grandchildren to grow up in? A third world ghetto where there's a Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day and they're forced to submit to Islam? Is that a good birthright for your children? You failed, actually, if you've done that, and you've cursed your children, in fact, and that's immoral based on our scriptures. So thank you, Ava.
Amen.
Let's put up the website one more time, and the URL on screen if we can, and make sure that everybody is signing up. And I'm very thankful that I was able to pronounce your last name correctly. I practiced it a couple times before the show went live.
That. Thank you.
Yeah. So great.
I do.
And yeah, Godspeed. This is the fight for Western civilization. You've always been on the front line, and we're appreciative for you.
Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it too. Really do.
Follow Ava right here, and remigration. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
I didn't say Shenzhen. I didn't say Shenzhen correctly. Shenzhen. That's fine. Sounds Chinese to me. What is a Shenzhen? Whatever. Very cool of being able to sort of cross the Atlantic, cross the West. I know that we have I'm always like amazed when I look at sort of the viewer demographic data, and I had to do that in order to own the New York Times this week, and see the number of viewers that we have in Canada and Australia and the UK, and we do have a little bit in the Netherlands and in Germany, and it's incredible to see like how the West is actually starting to like pick up on this, and we're building now a global movement, which is cool, in fact, of nationalists. It's awesome. Very, very neat. And uplifting. Hopefully an uplifting show that at least people are focused on the main thing, making the main thing the main thing. And that's the protection of our culture. The protection of you and your financial future, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it. Advantage Gold is how you do it. Advantage Gold is simply a way that you can hedge. That's all. Hedge. Even for a guy like me who don't let me do your taxes, you'll go right to prison. Okay. I'm not a big time like financial whiz. But a guy like me can like understand that in the current environments, it's like really good to make sure that you're diversified, especially into stuff that can't go to zero, right? Has never gone to zero. Like even when the Aztecs were swimming in gold, it doesn't go to zero, right? Spain, back when Spain was based, Spain was right around the corner there. Anyway, the point is that you should hedge against the instabilities and uncertainties in the world. Right now, call Advantage Gold or text Benny to 85545. That's BENNY to 85545. Get a free gold investment kit right now and learn a simple IRS approved way to move your 401k or IRA into gold. Tax-free and penalty-free. Text Benny to 85545 right now. Advantage Gold. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us. I mean, we don't have much. I guess there was like Iran over the weekend. The president was promising to send Iran back to the Stone Age and decided to not do that. And Iran signed what is now, I don't know, the fourth or fifth peace agreement with America. I'm not trying to make light of it. All right. I just think it's fun. It's exciting. It's a fun roller coaster that we're all on. It's a really exciting roller coaster. The point is that like, way to go. I'm glad that the administration seems very intent on wrapping this up. Iran has agreed to a deal opening the Strait of Hormuz. Trump cancels attack. We've seen it before, but this is good. We should cheer it on. We should be thankful. We should want to pivot from world war and total instability and skyrocketing commodities prices and back to domestic wins for our movement. Should we have ever been here in the first place? I would argue no. Just based on the political realities. This is not some moral question. These are tribal feuds between the Jews and Muslims and Iran and Israel and the Saudis and the Sunnis and the Shia. Bro, this stuff goes back like 5,000 years. We're not going to solve it. And we shouldn't try. And every time we do try, it's nightmarish. And so like, please, let's learn our lesson. You know, hand stuck in the box, right? With the nail right through the middle of it. Oh, I can't get it out. That's what the Middle East is. It's a trap. Don't stick your hand in the trap. But nobody asked me, right? So, like, hopefully the wisdom of the ages that this has been this area of the world has been a problem since Noah. The world's been a problem since Abraham, right? And the two jackasses fighting in the biblical scriptures and the prophecies and all of it, and the angel of light and Muhammad and his stone and the, Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Wailing Wall and all that stuff. That's 5,000. It's like 5,000 years old. That goes back to this goes back to dark, ancient foundations of the world as God made it, and we shouldn't be messing with it. This is my sincere opinion. Is that we shouldn't be messing with that stuff. I actually believe in God. I fear God. And that is why the Middle East has been the downfall of all empires. Alexander and Rome and every empire that tries to like mess around with that region of the world like gets kicked hard, swiftly, and learns and gets humbled. And so I don't want it, I don't want it. And I'm glad. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that we're like wrapping it up. I want there to be $2 gas again. Will we have it in time for the midterms? I don't know. But maybe. What does President Trump say on Iran? Here we go. Why did Trump call off the massive strike? Let's go.
By Saudi Arabia, by UAE, by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go just about at this time right now, and it would have been a massive attack. We were all set to go, but when the allies asked to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran. I call it the denuclearization of Iran. So we're holding it. We'll just see. We can do it anytime we want. But we were asked by the three primary groups. We were also asked by Iran, very strongly, actually. They said, we'd like to make a deal. Now, I don't know what they say, because a lot of times they'll say that to me, and then they'll go out and say, we don't know what he's talking about. Obviously, they don't want to be attacked. And they knew the extent of the attack because they saw it forming.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Verse of the day. Verse of the day. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. I am the good shepherd, says Christ. Christ says, peace be with you. He calls himself the Prince of Peace. Peaceful shepherd out in the green fields with his flock. He goes and leaves the 99 and gets the one. They're peaceful. Lay me down. Right? Peaceful field, writes David, like as a shepherd. Like peaceful waters, green pastures. Be at peace. That's what you should pray for here in the Middle East. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep, says John 10:11. Of course, a quote from Christ. I'm the good shepherd. I provide peace for my sheep. I provide peace for them. Christ sacrificed his life, died for us, Savior of the world. And in that sacrifice, he commands us to forgive, to do our best to make peace. And we should be asking for that. That's what we should be seeking. Why the conversations, like with Ava, are so important. I'm not going to try to say her last name. Vardingerbrook. There you go. That's why they're so important. I want peace for my children. It doesn't mean I hate other people's children. It means I want peace. There's a recipe for how to have peace in your land, right? How to have peace in your homeland. And that's what I want, right? And it's a noble thing. It is a good and moral thing to seek that. It is actually very fundamentally like Christian thing to seek that and want that. And so let that be the verse that carries you through on this Monday. First Monday of August, ladies and gentlemen, we're locking in. We'll be with you. And here we go. 3 months to the midterms. It's going to be a wild ride. It's your boy Benny. Thank you for marching with us. Remember, this victory is assured. In the end, we win. See ya.
The truth gon' be faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.